Hey guys, if you had seen a bulletin quite a while ago, like back during the summer, it probably may have said, or you may have read it as, that I was thinking of starting to do a whole new chain of videos that would mainly consist of video game reviews. And I thought, since I had the time today, relatively close to the weekend, I would go ahead and do the review. Now for many of you, this is probably the first time you're seeing my face. I swear to you, I don't always look this trashy. What has also happened since my last video posting is that I've had another channel for another while. It's on, I'll post the link, but I've also posted a bulletin here recently saying the new channel's open. That channel consists mainly of like vlogs and shorts and things like that. I'm not going to go into much detail because that's not what this video is about, but if you have the time, check it out, and if you have seen the channel, you probably do know what I look like. But anyway, here I am. I'm going to be reviewing Deus Ex Human Revolution. I'm kind of late getting into this review, I know. I'm sure most of y'all know about the game, know what it's like, but I thought I would go ahead and review it just so I could go ahead and start this whole new playlist. I liked this game. I pretty did. I'm new to the series. This was the first Deus Ex game I ever played. Well, as far as I can tell, the other Deus Ex games were pretty good game-selling games. They were unique in their the fact that you, as a character, you can make certain choices that will influence events in the game. It was kind of like one of the first Mass Effects, really, that certain choices you make can have very big or very little effects on what's going to happen later in the game. If you are a veteran of the series, Deus Ex Human Revolution is no different. You will be making choices constantly, or at least significant choices that will affect certain things in the game. Let's talk about the story. The story is, for someone who's kind of new to the series like I was, it's kind of a little bit hard to follow, and I will have spoilers soon, and I'll let you know when I am going to talk about spoilers. The plot for newcomers, it can be kind of fast and a little bit confusing. Truth about it was, when I first saw, and as a lot of you know, I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy, when I saw Square Enix was gonna assist and help in this game, I was kind of not skeptical, but I was cautious. Like, I knew that I love the Final Fantasy series, but the way Square Enix does their games, it's not for, I can tell, like, for most of the dialogue and plot that Square Enix comes up with, it's not for everyone, and I was kind of afraid they were gonna have to do something like that. But Square Enix mainly for this game was going to be they were going to deal with mostly the graphics and the CG rendering and stuff like that. That's what they really did, and you can tell if any of you have played Final Fantasy 13, a lot of the graphics look the same. So the story is kind of, it can be chaotic at sometimes, and sometimes things will happen so unexpectedly, like you'll be like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't really explain anything, but it draws you in enough that you want to see what happens, that I wanted to sit down and finish the game, and it was a pretty long game. It's about, I would say, about 30 to 40 hours if you plan to play it a certain way, and that's what we're going into next is big game mechanics. You essentially have two ways you can play this game. You can be the kind who will pick up a gun and shoot everything in sight, or you will sneak your way through most of the game, which is what I did. And if you choose to sneak, it's a much longer, much more intriguing game, in my opinion. You get certain trophies and achievements, whatever platform you're playing on, depending on how you play. I snuck my entire way through. You can use certain weapons, such as stun guns and tranquilizers, if you plan to be more stealthy. And you actually get an achievement if you don't kill anyone, which I thought was pretty cool. If you do want to play the rough and tumble kind of guy and go around and shoot everyone, you can totally do that. Though I would say ammo is quite limited in this game. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Resident Evil, like the way you pick up stuff and your inventory can fill up to the brim and you won't be able to pick up anything after that once your inventory is full. And it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. So like the most ammo, like the best way you can play if you want to be that way is to like carry like one machine gun and about 200 pieces of ammo, and that's all you can get. That's about all you can put into your gun. So it's a little bit kind of iffy if you do want to go that route, but you certainly have that option. Let's now talk about some other game mechanics, the augmentation system. It's pretty good. It's nothing like what you can see from like most open-ended games, like things like if you've played like games like Fallout or Oblivion. I'm sorry, people were walking down. I'm looking straight out my window. People were walking down the sidewalk. I'm like, hoping they don't see me, but I really don't care. Like, you can't like build up your character a certain way. You can do that way from the beginning. Like if you are like a stealth-oriented kind of person, you can get certain augmentations that will go along that route. Like one of the first augmentations I ever got was the ability to see through walls, and I used that augmentation constantly. I used it all the time. Sorry, a little bit of a spoiler there, but the thing is, like, if you're the kind who wants to set up like just a certain character, this game is kind of so-so about that. If you collect enough experience points, you can pretty much get all the augmentations in the game, or at least the ones that matter. And in my first playthrough, I got like 85% of the augmentations, so it's not like my character had really any weak spots. Because like if you can also earn money, or like it's called credits in this game, and you can actually go and buy something called praxis points, which is what you use to increase your augmentation. So like augmentating your character a wrong way it's not really possible. I mean, you can make certain mistakes early in the game, depending on what augmentations you choose to get early in the game, but by the time you're at the end, you pretty much have all the augmentations anyway, so it's not like you have any definite strengths or weaknesses, which is good or bad, depending on how you want to look at it. And so that's pretty much kind of how this game works. Now, I'll go a little bit into spoilers, so if you don't want to hear the spoilers or haven't played the game, go away now. I want to talk about the plot a little bit. It really was interesting within the first half of the game, especially when it was kind of cool. Certain of the locations we went, you can go to in the game. It's not an open-ended world. It kind of would almost feel that way, but there are boundaries. There are different cities and stuff, but it plays kind of like an open-ended game, but it's not. It's like when I say open-ended, I'm talking like Fallout or Oblivion, where you can go anywhere, it's just a massive world. Deus Ex is not like that. There are levels, if you want to call them that. It's mostly you go from point A to point B to complete mission objectives, and it's always highlighted on your radar or on your map or whatever. With the general, again with the plot, I liked the whole idea about what they did with the Seraph Industries, and the fact that it's a game mostly of corruption and competition between other companies like Seraph, with one that's in Singapore, I think, or like China, wherever that location was, and there's dirty black market stuff going on. I liked that part. I want to talk about kind of what really I thought was weird when it got to the end, is that, I don't know why they did this, but that one of the chief antagonists, or the chief groups that you don't really see, that are mostly to blame for some of the bad events that are going on in the game, they actually bring up the Illuminati. I'm not kidding when I say this. They actually bring up the Illuminati. If you don't know what the Illuminati is, just Google it. You'll probably pull up books like The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. If you've read those books or seen the movies, you know what I'm talking about. It kind of was bizarre for them to bring that group up. I'm like, are you serious? And they did it within 2 sentences. You just have to, as a player, you just have to sit there and accept it. I'm like, I didn't feel like they really explained a whole lot. The main character you play is Adam Jensen. What kind of bothered me at first is that you don't really learn much about his character. Now, there are side quests in this game that you can complete to learn about other side stories that are going on, but I liked the side missions because it enriched the story. They're completely optional, you don't have to do them. But if you do them, you get more backstory, and I like that about particularly RPGs. If you do side quests that reveal more backstory, I like that a lot. Now, there is a side quest where you can learn more about Jensen's history, and I thought it was pretty interesting, to be honest. The whole idea of